Well, it's official. I can finally say that we have Warhammer in our store. Yeah, so, as you know, I recently just put in a thumbnail of this video that we have over 100,000 of inventory of Warhammer. And it's a big investment for our store, obviously. You know, toy stores aren't known for just throwing 100K into the plastic. Maybe for plastic, but not Warhammer plastic specifically. But, you know, here we are. And I just think, like, this is just part of my, you know, great plan that I have for the store. And, like, one of it was having a branch for Warhammer. And I think now would be the perfect time because, well, I guess I'll explain that in the video. And I also want to explain why there's not many stores that probably go this insane into Warhammer, but I think it's a great fit for us. And, well, I'll just begin. I love walls. I can understand now why Trump likes walls. These mines will be made of plastic. And we'll be protected by the Imperium. Oh, damn it. Right. Okay, I made a mess. Alright. Well, alright. So, other than me loving plastic, because who doesn't? There's more reasons why I think this is like a great idea for our store. Well, I mean, in right now in general, Warhammer is probably seeing a boom. And I just think 2026... Oh my god, we're almost done with 2025, eh? Yeah, I just think 2026 is going to be like a big year for Warhammer because everybody believes a new edition is coming up, you know, 11th edition, which, you know, will bring back old players and new players. At the same time, the TV show for Amazon is starting to lift off, and so that's probably going to be another big boom. And as a store, we have to get ahead of these trends sometimes. And at the same time, you know, James called us and said, hey, carry my stuff, and I couldn't say no. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting time, and I think it'll be good for us. Especially a store like us, who we love to carry deep inventory, because like a bunch of Space Marines. What do we have behind them? You know, it's more Space Marines, right? Obviously, and that just like helps us because carrying Warhammer is expensive for your average store. I think it's just very hard for retailers. I think for like way smaller retailers to carry a large selection of Warhammer, because these kits are, you know, like, you know, they're $50, $70, $80 per box, and you know, if you just tell a store, hey, just carry like a few thousand, it's like it's a very small amount, like maybe like 10, 20 boxes, and it might not be enough of an investment to attract players and to, you know, to build a community around it. But you know, if you go larger, so believe it or not, 100K is not even in all the SKUs. You need more than 100K to get every SKU, and you know, you want more than one of each SKU for, you know, all the Games Workshop. It is a massive library of things that they carry. And like, I'm right now only focusing on the 40K and Kill Team because they seem to be the most popular around here. And so, you know, we're trying to buy as much as we can, but at some point you just like, you gotta cut your battles and say, okay, I'm gonna just try and focus on certain universes and work out. And for us, it's been working really well. And so obviously we've expanded our sections well, my strategy so far has been, Games Workshop says, do you want any of these new pre-releases? And I say, yes. And I give them my credit card and I walk away. And the following week, they just bring it to me. I'm like, okay, this is what I agreed. It's not the best strategy, but you know, for the product that's working very well, it's been working for us. So we're going to keep on pushing all their new releases and keep restocking older sets. Sorry, it's been a while, so I'm trying to get back into this whole thing. So for those who don't know, obviously this is Q4. It's our, you know, Super Bowl season for, you know, selling toys, and so obviously we've just been really focused on it. But anyway, another topic, and we've also like, sorry, I'm gonna bring back another topic that I'll talk in another video. But you know, we also brought in like card games and selling singles and buying singles and TCGs because you know, we're toy snowman, you know, toys and collectibles, and for the longest time we've really collected hard on the toy part, the toy aspects, and I also want to get into the collectible aspects of you know toy snowman collectibles and stuff. So I was like, okay, well, I think we've done really well with the toys, and it's still going well, obviously. And we're like, okay, well, now we can use, you know, Mr. Monopoly's money and get some more collectibles. So that's our plan. So obviously, you know, we're turning plastic and Spider-Mans into Space Marines. and we're seeing where that goes for us. It's one of my pivot moves, because obviously, 2025 has been such a year of turnarounds and spins for all of our businesses that, some of us were like, okay, well, now's a good time for us to possibly get market share in other industries, because, our side's doing pretty well comparatively to some other places. And so we're like, okay, well, now's a good time for us to, where can Toy Story Man, fix itself in a position? So I thought, well, Games Workshop has probably a great history and future ahead, because, New Edition, Amazon, Henry Cavill, the video game doing amazing, Space Marine 2, I like, really great property. So it probably has a, good long runway ahead of it. And at the same time, I don't think many shops can do the whole deep inventory and multiple inventories and just throw money at a situation that really, money I think is very important for, toy stores, obviously, because having dead capital is really difficult. Or not dead capital, but slow moving capital. Like if you buy a box and it's like $50 and it doesn't sell for like 6 months, it stays on your shelf, and you need to just sell that toy to get the next toy. And because the way retail has been is that here's the next Marvel Legends wave, and here's the next action figure, here's the G.I. Joe, and then you Star Wars, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, if all of these, like, you leave in $50, $100, $200, $300, you just have so much money stuck in slow moving inventory, and so a lot of shops really can't afford to do that. For us, we've been lucky. Mr. Monopoly has given us some good amounts of money to try and do stupid stuff like this. And for once, I think this is actually one of my better ideas of attempting to jump into the Warhammer universe and the hobby scene. Obviously, it's also part of my diversification plan, because I wanted to diversify away from purely toy play, and wanted to, we always wanted to have collectibles, and we always brought sealed product to Magic and Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Ohs and One Piece and stuff, but we just we never got into the singles, mainly because I was also lazy. I didn't want to do it without the computer and having some robots sort cards and price, because the whole collectibles change up in price so often, and usually if you're just retailer, we just sell it at MSRP and be done with it. But for singles, the prices change day to day, tournament to tournament, week to week, and so there's no way without having it automated, but with a machine, we'd ever be able to keep track of it. So I decided, hey, now that we have the technology, we have a machine that can sort cards and price them and put them on our website. Sure, now while we're throwing money into plastic, we'll throw it into cardboard. Now we'll sell cardboard crack, not just crack. No, you know what I mean, right? Cardboard crack and plastic crack. No OG crack, just those two cracks. Maybe I want some crack. I don't know. Sorry. All right. But real talk. This is obviously not a pure blind. I'm not jumping into something that I have no clue in. For those who don't know, I lived in Dubai for 14 years, and during that time, I was, managing a hobby store, and well, part of that involved Warhammer. We were actually working as a distribution company for the entire Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region, and obviously distributing Warhammer was part of it, so obviously we learned a lot. I also used to collect Warhammer when I was 3 apples tall, so I'm not completely foreign to the idea of what Warhammer is. I just have old, outdated knowledge, but it's all been refreshed again. But yeah, so when it comes to choosing which armies and which figures, I do have a core knowledge of it, and I used to play competitively. There is a video of me when I was 16 playing in Warhammer tournament, doing pretty well and actually winning something. But anyway, so back to here. I have my little scripty. When it comes to choosing armies, I think as a retailer, you just gotta carry it all, right? Because even though Warhammer Space Marines, the Imperium of Man, is probably 50%, 70% of all your sales, you need, Chaos, Necrons, Tyranids, the 4 flavors of Chaos, plus the Demons and Eldari, and it's just part of I think there's just so many flavors that eventually everybody wants something. And like even there's Voltan now, so like that's one of the newer races where it's space dwarves, and I mean some of it caught me off guard, but like yeah, it just makes sense that if you want to get into Warhammer, as a store, it just makes sense that you have to carry almost the entire range, and so that's why we just had to make a huge jump and say, you know, we really need to put a big investment into it. Part of it that what really helped is obviously the new releases, the new pre-orders. So the way Games Workshop does their pre-orders is completely different from how Toy World does it. Because in the Toy World, Hasbro, Mattel, Mcfarlane, they'll announce a toy, and it'll between 3 to 6 to 2 years. You know, if you're like Mezco, like 2 years delay from the pre-order date to the to actually have the toy in hand. While Games Workshop is about 2 weeks, 21 days at the most, where it's like, here's pre-order next week, and then the week after or two, stores get them, and we have our official release date, and we go. So it's an organized structure, obviously, and it works for them. And for our store, it just means every week Games Workshop says, hey, here's the new pre-orders. Which ones do you want? And I always say yes, and I already said, yes, there's my card, you already have it. Use it wisely, and they buy stuff for me, and we work with there. Now, that has obviously is working well for us, and we have somewhat similar with some of our other manufacturers, where they kind of just say, here's the new pre-order. Obviously, it's a different scale compared to, you know, Hasbro toys. Obviously, you know, for us, Hasbro is still by far our #1 seller. It's not even close. Like, I think Hasbro for our company is about 40% of all our sales for Toy Snowmen. Well, you know, Games Workshop is still like, even though this has been our fastest growing category, it's still roughly only 10% of sales. Now, that's not bad for a brand that we've only been carrying for 2 years now. So last year we started carrying Warhammer like around February, and now we've done a year and a half, so almost 2 years now. Coming this February, I think it'll be 2 years for us carrying Warhammer, and it's become our second best-selling line. So I feel like, okay, I need to give it more respect. Before I was only carrying around 30,000 worth of inventory for Warhammer, which I mean it's still a large amount, but the amount of sales that it has generated for our business and, you know, cash flow, obviously, it deserves more. So I couldn't justify not giving it a bigger space and pushing more for it. So that's why in our company now, part of our diversification, it also like it just helps when the choice you made also just becomes your second best selling item in store and online, and you're like, okay, well, thank God we diversified, because usually when you diversify, you lose a bit of sales in like Hasbro and other places, because, you know, the company's focusing differently, and maybe you have to divert some money. Like, instead of buying 100 Spider-Mans, I'm gonna buy 80 Spider-Mans, and then you buy because you want to buy some, you know, Terminators for 40K. But now it's like, okay, we just kept buying 100 Spider-Mans and just bought the Terminators, and the Terminators all sold out and they pay for themselves. So then when I buy next time 40 Terminators, it's not taking money from the Spider-Mans, because all the new releases for Warhammer just sell out instantly, and the money comes back within a week, because the new releases are only Warhammer releases every week, every Saturday morning, or well, every Saturday exactly at midnight, 12:01 a.m. The Warhammer releases their new stuff, and it's instantly by 12:30 a.m. It's all sold out. So as a company, we've already gotten our money from that investment of putting the product. So it was pretty easy to just keep on building on our Warhammer, which is, I mean, it's part of the reason why it was very easy just to keep on growing the section, because it's been paying for itself. So it's not all of madness where I was like, yeah, 100,000 from zero. No, we started with 30, well, 10, 20, 30, 40. Then I thought, okay, you know what, let's just double it, because it's our second best-selling product line. You know, and, you know, some of our other bets, like, you know, we've gone to other collectibles like Riftbound, which is the League of Legends. So we started selling sealed product and buying and selling singles, and with the automation of, you know, the pricing and the robot, it's like, okay, well, I don't need to. It's not a robot. Okay, I keep saying robot. Listen, it's literally like a printer that scans cards, and it tells you the price and the item, and identifies the cards, and then makes image of it on our Shopify website, because we're on Shopify, and you know, there's a database, and it just copies it and does it. So it's been pretty easy. It's like, it's not that hard of a robot just to put cards into it and it just does the work for you. So it helps us and helps us buy and sell because, somebody says, hey, I want to sell this. We just put it in the machine and it spits out the price and we're like, okay, this is what we'll give you. And then they're like, yes. And, that's it. That's the end of the transaction. It's not a hugely complicated thing, but it was impossible to do 5 years ago because the technology just wasn't there. So, collectibles in general have really changed in the last, honestly, since 2020, like 5 years now. 6 years? Great. Wow. The time warp of COVID, eh? Yeah, like collectibles has really grown as an industry and it's just huge, right? And I think nowadays people are like, they're going to ask you like, what do you collect? And, they're expecting a response because, whether it's cars, plastic, cardboard, paint, doubleroons, it's just something of interest. But anyway, so that was partially a large part. So now I explained why I thought it was the right fit for Toy Snowman. And at the same time, I just think the future for Warhammer has miles of runway to go where between the show, because like the show is really like, I'm so scared of the show. At the same time, I'm so eager to watch it because so far all the Warhammer content has been really interesting and entertaining, and the video games, it still draws me in. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So anyway, I hope I'm gonna get another video in before our Black Ice sale. So for those who don't know, we have our Black Ice sale, which is 15% off all site wide. Now, this is going to be here the caveat, because our Warhammer is already 15% off MSRP, so we cannot discount it more, because that's the maximum discount that we're allowed to. Games Workshop will spank us. We go beyond 15%, so Games Workshop obviously cannot be marked down more than 15%. But everything else on the website, yes, everything else on the website is, will have 15% off. It'll be Black Friday, November 28th, so for those who don't know, it's a one-day sale where everything on our site essentially goes 15% off, and it creates a huge backlog, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun for everybody else who's watching, comes to our website on Black Friday, because it's everything. It's just everything that you want. Like, okay, I'll just now get it because it's cheaper. There'll be obviously some random things here that we'll be liquidating. I'm not sure yet. I'm still compiling a list of things I want to liquidate for our website. Mainly because we need some more space in our storage room and our secret lair. So, Black Friday is a perfect time for us to do it. Also, this year I was able to talk with 2 companies, and they offered me some inventory, and I'm just gonna discount it and sell it. So, we'll see when I can't spoil it just yet, but I'm pretty excited for some of the stuff that we're gonna be able to sell on our Black Ice sale. Otherwise, everybody, stay frosty.